In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. And fight in the way of Allah those who fight you, but transgress not the limits. Truly, Allah likes not the transgressors. This verse is the first one that was revealed in connection with jihad, but it was supplemented by another, Surah 9, Ayah 36. And kill them wherever you find them, and turn them out from where they have turned you out. And Fitnah is worse than killing. And fight not with them at Al-Masjid Al-Haram, the sanctuary at Makkah, unless they, first, fight you there. But if they attack you, then kill them. Such is the recompense of the disbelievers. But if they cease, then Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. And fight them until there is no more fitnah, disbelief and worshipping of others along with Allah, and all and every kind of worship is for Allah alone. But if they cease, let there be no transgression except against az-zalimun, the polytheists, and wrongdoers. The command to fight those who fight Muslims and killing them wherever they are found. Abu Ja'far ar-Razi said that Rabi'a bin Anas said that Abu al-Aliyah commented on what Allah said, and fight in the way of Allah those who fight you. Abu al-Aliyah said, this was the first ayah about fighting that was revealed in Al-Madinah. Ever since it was revealed, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to fight only those who fought him and avoid non-combatants. Later, Surah Bara'ah, chapter 9 in the Qur'an, was revealed. Abdur Rahman bin Zayd bin Aslam said similarly, then he said that this was later abrogated by the ayah, then kill them wherever you find them, Surah 9, Ayah 5. However, this statement is not plausible, because Allah's statement, those who fight you, applies only to fighting the enemies who are engaged in fighting Islam and its people. So the ayah means, fight those who fight you, just as Allah said, in another ayah, and fight against the mushrikeen collectively as they fight against you collectively. Surah 9, Ayah 36. This is why Allah said later in the ayah, and kill them wherever you find them, and turn them out from where they have turned you out, meaning, your energy should be spent on fighting them, just as their energy is spent on fighting you, and on expelling them from the areas from which they have expelled you, as a law of equality in punishment. The prohibition of mutilating the dead and stealing from the captured goods. Allah said, but transgress not the limits. Truly, Allah likes not the transgressors. This ayah means, fight for the sake of Allah and do not be transgressors, such as, by committing prohibitions. Al-Hasan al-Basri stated that transgression, indicated by the ayah, includes mutilating the dead, theft, from the captured goods, killing women, children and old people who do not participate in warfare, killing priests and residents of houses of worship, burning down trees and killing animals without real benefit. This is also the opinion of Ibn Abbas, Umar bin Abdul Aziz, Muqatil bin Hayyan and others. Muslim recorded in his Sahih that Buraidah narrated that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, fight for the sake of Allah and fight those who disbelieve in Allah. Fight, but do not steal, from the captured goods, commit treachery, mutilate, the dead, or kill a child, or those who reside in houses of worship. It is reported in the two Sahihs that Ibn Umar said, a woman was found dead during one of the Prophet's battles and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then forbade killing women and children. There are many other hadiths on this subject. Shirk is worse than killing. Since jihad involves killing and shedding the blood of men, Allah indicated that these men are committing disbelief in Allah, associating with Him, in the worship, and hindering from His path, and this is a much greater evil and more disastrous than killing. Abu Malik commented about what Allah said, and Fitnah is worse than killing, meaning what you, disbelievers, are committing is much worse than killing. Abu al-Aliyah, Mujahid, Sa'id bin Jubayr, Ikrimah, Al-Hasan, Qatada, Ad-Dahhak and Rabi'a bin Anas said that what Allah said, and Fitnah is worse than killing, shirk, polytheism, is worse than killing. Fighting in the sacred area is prohibited, except in self-defense. Allah said, and fight not with them at Al-Masjid Al-Haram, the sanctuary at Makkah. It is reported in the two Sahihs that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Allah has made this city a sanctuary since the day He created the heavens and the earth. So, it is a sanctuary by Allah's decree till the day of resurrection. Fighting in it was made legal for me only for an hour in the daytime. So, it, that is, Makkah, is a sanctuary, by Allah's decree, from now on until the day of resurrection. Its trees should not be cut, and its grass should not be uprooted. If anyone mentions the fighting in it that occurred by Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, then say that Allah allowed His Messenger, but did not allow you. In this hadith, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, mentions fighting the people of Makkah when He conquered it by force, leading to some deaths among the polytheists in the area of the Khandamah. This occurred after the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, proclaimed, "Whoever closed his door is safe. Whoever entered the sacred mosque is safe. Whoever entered the house of Abu Sufyan is also safe." Allah said, "Unless they, first, fight you there. But if they attack you, then kill them. Such is the recompense of the disbelievers." Allah states, "Do not fight them in the area of the sacred mosque unless they start fighting you in it. In this case, you are allowed to fight them and kill them to stop their aggression." Hence, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, took the pledge from his companions under the tree, in the area of Al-Hudaybiyah, to fight the polytheists, after the tribes of Quraysh and their allies, Thaqif and other groups, collaborated against the Muslims, to stop them from entering Makkah to visit the sacred house. Then, Allah stopped the fighting before it started between them, and said, "And He it is who has withheld their hands from you and your hands from them, in the midst of Makkah, after He had made you victors over them." Surah 48, Ayah 24, and "Had there not been believing men and believing women whom you did not know, that you may kill them and on whose account a sin would have been committed by you without your knowledge, that Allah might bring into His mercy whom He wills, if they, the believers and the disbelievers, had been apart, we verily would have punished those of them who disbelieved with painful torment." Surah 48, Ayah 25. Allah's statement, "But if they cease, then Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful," which means, if they, polytheists, cease fighting you in the sacred area, and come to Islam and repent, then Allah will forgive them their sins, even if they had before killed Muslims in Allah's sacred area. Indeed, Allah's forgiveness encompasses every sin, whatever its enormity, when the sinner repents from it. The order to fight until there is no more fitnah. Allah then commanded fighting the disbelievers when He said, "Until there is no more fitnah," meaning, shirk. This is the opinion of Ibn Abbas, Abu al-Aliyah, Mujahid, al-Hasan, Qatada, Ar-Rabi'a, Muqatil bin Hayyan, As-Suddi and Zayd bin Aslam. Allah's statement, "And the religion, all and every kind of worship, is for Allah alone," means, so that the religion of Allah becomes dominant above all other religions. It is reported in the two Sahihs that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari said, "The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was asked, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. A man fights out of bravery, and another fights to show off, which of them fights in the cause of Allah?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "He who fights so that Allah's word is superior, then he fights in Allah's cause." In addition, it is reported in the two Sahihs, "I have been ordered, by Allah, to fight the people until they proclaim, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah. Whoever said it, then he will save his life and property from me, except for cases of the law, and their account will be with Allah." Allah's statement, "But if they cease, let there be no transgression except against the wrongdoers," indicates that, if they stop their shirk in fighting the believers, then cease warfare against them. Whoever fights them afterwards will be committing an injustice. Verily, aggression can only be started against the unjust. This is the meaning of Mujahid's statement that only combatants should be fought. Or, the meaning of the ayah indicates that, if they abandon their injustice, which is shirk in this case, then do not start aggression against them afterwards. The aggression here means retaliating and fighting them, just as Allah said, then whoever transgresses against you, you transgress likewise against him. Surah 2, Ayah 194. Similarly, Allah said, the recompense for an evil is an evil like thereof, Surah 42, Ayah 40, and if you punish them, then punish them with the like of that with which you were afflicted. Surah 16, Ayah 126. Ikrimah and Qatada stated, the unjust person is he who refuses to proclaim, there is no God worthy of worship except Allah. Under Allah's statement, and fight them until there is no more fitnah, Al-Baqarah recorded that Nafi said that two men came to Ibn Umar during the conflict of Ibn az-Zubayr, and said to him, the people have fallen into shortcomings, and you are the son of Umar and the Prophet's companion. Hence, what prevents you from going out? He said, what prevents me is that Allah has forbidden shedding the blood of my Muslim brother. They said, did not Allah say, and fight them until there is no more fitnah, disbelief and worshipping of others along with Allah? He said, we did fight until there was no more fitnah and the religion became for Allah alone. You want to fight until there is fitnah and the religion becomes for other than Allah. Uthman bin Salih added that a man came to Ibn Umar and asked him, O Abu Abdur-Rahman, what made you perform Hajj 1 year and Umrah another year, and abandon jihad in the cause of Allah, although you know how much He has encouraged performing it? He said, O my nephew, Islam is built on 5 pillars, believing in Allah and His Messenger, the 5 daily prayers, fasting Ramadan, paying the zakah and performing Hajj, pilgrimage, to the house. They said, O Abu Abdur-Rahman, did you not hear what Allah said in His book, and if 2 parties, or groups, among the believers fall to fighting, then make peace between them both. But if one of them outrages against the other, then fight you, all, against the one that which outrages till it complies with the command of Allah. Surah 49, Ayah 9, and fight them until there is no more fitnah, disbelief? He said, that we did during the time of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, when Islam was still weak and, the Muslim, man used to face trials in his religion, such as killing or torture. When Islam became stronger and apparent, there was no more fitnah. He asked, what do you say about Ali and Uthman? He said, as for Uthman, Allah has forgiven him. However, you hated the fact that Allah had forgiven him. As for Ali, he is the cousin of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and his son-in-law. He then pointed with his hand, saying, this is where his house is located, meaning, so close to the Prophet's house just as Ali was so close to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, himself. The sacred month is for the sacred month, and for the prohibited things, there is the law of equality, qisas. Then whoever transgresses the prohibition against you, you transgress likewise against him. And fear Allah, and know that Allah is with al-muttaqun, the pious. Fighting during the sacred months is prohibited, except in self-defense. Ibn Abbas, Ad-Dahhak, As-Suddi, Qatada, Miqsam, Rabi'a bin Anas and Ataz said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, went for Umrah on the 6th year of Hijrah. Then, the idolaters prevented him from entering the sacred house, the Kaaba in Makkah, along with the Muslims who came with him. This incident occurred during the sacred month of Dhul Qa'dah. The idolaters agreed to allow them to enter the house the next year. Hence, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered the house the following year, along with the Muslims who accompanied him, and Allah permitted him to avenge the idolaters' treatment of him, when he said, the sacred month is for the sacred month, and for the prohibited things, there is the law of equality, qisas. Imam Ahmad recorded that Jabir bin Abdullah said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, would not engage in warfare during the sacred month unless he was first attacked, then he would march forth. He would otherwise remain idle until the end of the sacred months. This hadith has an authentic chain of narrators. Hence, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was told that Uthman was killed, in Makkah, when he was camped at the area of Al-Hudaybiyah, after he had sent Uthman as his emissary to the polytheists, he accepted the pledge from his companions under the tree to fight the polytheists. They were 1,400 then. When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was informed that Uthman was not killed, he abandoned the fight and reverted to peace. When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, finished fighting with the tribes of Hawazin during the Battle of Hunayn, and Hawazin took refuge in the city of At-Taif, he laid siege to that city. Then, the sacred month of Dhul-Qa'dah started, while At-Taif was still under siege. The siege went on for the rest of the 40 days, rather, from the day the Battle of Hunayn started until the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went back to Al-Madinah from Al-Jirana, were 40 days, as reported in the 2 Sahihs and narrated by Anas. When the companions suffered mounting casualties during the siege, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ended the siege before conquering At-Taif. He then went back to Makkah, performed Umrah from Al-Jirana, where he divided the war booty of Hunayn. This Umrah occurred during Dhul-Qa'dah of the 8th year of Al-Hijrah. Allah's statement, whoever transgresses against you, you transgress likewise against him, ordains justice even with the polytheists. Allah also said in another ayah, and if you punish, then punish them with the like of that with which you were afflicted, Surah 16, Ayah 126. Allah's statement, and fear Allah, and know that Allah is with al-Muttaqeen, the pious, Surah 2, Ayah 194, commands that Allah be obeyed and feared out of taqwa. The ayah informs us that Allah is with those who have taqwa, by His aid and support in this life and the hereafter. And spend in the cause of Allah, that is, jihad of all kinds, and do not throw yourselves into destruction, by not spending your wealth in the cause of Allah, and do good. Truly, Allah loves al-Muhsinun, the good doers. The command to spend in the cause of Allah. Al-Bukhari recorded that Hudayfah said, and spend in the cause of Allah, and do not throw yourselves into destruction, it was revealed about spending. Ibn Abu Hatim reported him saying similarly. He then commented, similar is reported from Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Ikrimah, Sa'id bin Jubayr, Atta, Ad-Dahhak, Al-Hasan, Qatada, As-Suddi and Muqatil bin Hayyan. Aslam Abu Imran said, a man from among the Ansar broke enemy, Byzantine, lines in Constantinople, Istanbul. Abu Ayyub al-Ansari was with us then. So some people said, he is throwing himself to destruction. Abu Ayyub said, we know this ayah, Surah 2, Ayah 195, better, for it was revealed about us, the companions of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, who participated in jihad with him and aided and supported him. When Islam became strong, we, the Ansar, met and said to each other, Allah has honored us by being the companions of His Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and in supporting him until Islam became victorious and its following increased. We had before ignored the needs of our families, estates and children. Warfare has ceased, so let us go back to our families and children and attend to them. So this ayah was revealed about us, and spend in the cause of Allah and do not throw yourselves into destruction. The destruction refers to staying with our families and estates and abandoning jihad. This was recorded by Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi, An-Nasai, Abd bin Humayd in his Tafsir, Ibn Abu Hatim, Ibn Jarir, Ibn Marduwiyah, Al-Hafiz Abu Ya'la in his Musnad, Ibn Hibban and Al-Hakim. At-Tirmidhi said, Hasan, Sahih, Gharib. Al-Hakim said, it meets the criteria of the two sheikhs, Al-Bukhari and Muslim, but they did not record it. Abu Dawood's version mentions that Aslam Abu Imran said, we were at the siege of Constantinople. Then, Uqbah bin Amr was leading the Egyptian forces, while the Syrian forces were led by Fadalah bin Ubayd. Later on, a huge column of Roman, Byzantine, soldiers departed the city, and we stood in lines against them. A Muslim man raided the Roman lines until he broke through them and came back to us. The people shouted, all praise is due to Allah. He is sending himself to certain demise. Abu Ayyub said, O people! You explain this ayah the wrong way. It was revealed about us, the Ansar, when Allah gave victory to His religion and its following increased. We said to each other, it would be better for us now if we return to our estates and attend to them. Then Allah revealed this ayah, Surah 2, Ayah 195. Abu Bakr bin Ayyash reported that Abu Ishaq as-Subai related, that a man said to Al-Bara bin Azib, if I raided the enemy lines alone and they kill me, would I be throwing myself to certain demise? He said, no. Allah said to His Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, then fight, O Muhammad, in the cause of Allah. You are not tasked, held responsible, except for yourself. Surah 4, Ayah 84. That ayah, Surah 2, Ayah 195, is about refraining from spending. Ibn Mardawiyah reported this hadith, as well as Al-Hakim in his Mustadrak, who said, it meets the criteria of the two sheikhs, Al-Bukhari and Muslim, but they did not record it. Ath-Thawri and Qais bin Rabi'a related it from Al-Bara, but added, you are not tasked, held responsible, except for yourself. Surah 4, Ayah 84, destruction refers to the man who sins and refrains from repenting, thus throwing himself to destruction. Ibn Abbas said, and spend in the cause of Allah and do not throw yourselves into destruction. This is not about fighting, but about refraining from spending for the sake of Allah, in which case, one will be throwing himself into destruction. The ayah, Surah 2, Ayah 195, includes the order to spend in Allah's cause, in the various areas and ways that involve obedience and drawing closer to Allah. It especially applies to spending in fighting the enemies and on what strengthens the Muslims against the enemy. Allah states that those who refrain from spending in this regard will face utter and certain demise and destruction, meaning those who acquire this habit. Allah commands that one should acquire ihsan, excellence in the religion, as it is the highest part of the acts of obedience. Allah said, and do good. Truly, Allah loves al-muhsinin, those who do good and perform properly, that is, all the ceremonies according to the ways of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, the Hajj and Umrah, that is, the pilgrimage to Makkah, for Allah. But if you are prevented from completing them, sacrifice a Hady, animal, that is, a sheep, a cow, or a camel, such as you can afford, and do not shave your heads until the Hady reaches the place of sacrifice. And whosoever of you is ill or has an ailment in his scalp, necessitating shaving, he must pay a Fidyah, ransom, of either observing Sawm, fasts, 3 days, or giving Sadaqah, charity, feeding 6 poor persons, or offering sacrifice, 1 sheep. Then if you are in safety and whosoever performs the Umrah in the months of Hajj before performing the Hajj, that is, Hajj at Tamattu and Al-Qur'an, he must slaughter a Hady such as he can afford, but if he cannot afford it, he should observe Sawm, fasts, 3 days during the Hajj and 7 days after his return to his home, making 10 days in all. This is for him whose family is not present at Al-Masjid Al-Haram, that is, non-resident of Makkah. And fear Allah much and know that Allah is severe in punishment. The command to complete Hajj and Umrah. After Allah mentioned the rulings for fasting and jihad, He explained the rituals by commanding the Muslims to complete Hajj and Umrah, meaning, to finish the rituals of Hajj and Umrah after one starts them. This is why Allah said afterwards, but if you are prevented, meaning, if your way to the house is obstructed, and you are prevented from finishing it. This is why the scholars agree that starting the acts of Hajj and Umrah requires one to finish them. As for Makhul, he said, complete means to start them from the Miqat, areas the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, designated to assume Ihram from. Abdur Razzaq said, that Az-Zuhri said, we were told that Umar commented on, and complete Hajj and Umrah for Allah. Complete Hajj and Umrah means performing each of them separately, and to perform Umrah outside of the months of Hajj, for Allah the Exalted says, the Hajj, pilgrimage, is in the well-known, lunar year, months. As-Suddi said, and complete Hajj and Umrah for Allah, means, maintain the performance of Hajj and Umrah. Ibn Abbas was reported to have said, Hajj is Arafat, while Umrah is Tawaf. Al-Amash related that Ibrahim said that Ulqamah commented on Allah's statement, and complete Hajj and Umrah for Allah. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud recited it this way, complete Hajj and Umrah to the house, so that one does not exceed the area of the house during the Umrah. Ibrahim then said, I mentioned this statement to Sa'id bin Jubayr and he said, Ibn Abbas also said that. Sufyan reported that Ibrahim said that Ulqamah said, regarding the Ayah 196, perform the Hajj and Umrah to the house. Ath-Thawri reported that Ibrahim read, the Ayah, perform the Hajj and Umrah to the house. If one is prevented while en route, he slaughters the sacrifice, shaves his head and ends Ihram. Allah's statement, but if you are prevented, sacrifice a Hady, animals for sacrifice, such as you can afford, was revealed in the 6th year of Hijrah, the year of the Treaty of Al-Hudaybiyah, when the polytheists prevented Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, from reaching the house. Allah revealed Surah Al-Fath, chapter 48 in the Qur'an, then, and allowed the Muslims to slaughter any Hady, animals for sacrifice, they had. They had 70 camels with them for that purpose. They were also permitted to shave their heads and end their Ihram. When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, commanded them to shave their heads and end the state of Ihram, they did not obey him, as they were awaiting that order to be abrogated. When they saw that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went out after shaving his head, they imitated him. Some of them did not shave, but only shortened their hair. This is why the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, May Allah award his mercy to those who shaved. They said, What about those who shortened the hair? He said in the 3rd time, and to those who shortened. Every 7 among them shared 1 camel for their sacrifice. They were 1,400 companions and were camping in the area of Al-Hudaybiyah, outside the sacred area. It was also reported that they were within the boundaries of the sacred area. Allah knows best. Being prevented from the house, Husr, includes more than just being sick, fearing an enemy or getting lost on the way to Makkah. Imam Ahmad reported that Al-Hajjaj bin Amr al-Ansari said that he heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, Whoever suffered a broken bone or a limb, will have ended his Ihram and has to perform Hajj again. He said, I mentioned that to Ibn Abbas and Abu Hurairah and they both said, He, Al-Hajjaj, has said the truth. This hadith is also reported in the 4 collections. In the version of Abu Dawood and Ibn Majah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Whoever limped, had a broken bone or became ill. Ibn Abu Hatim also recorded it and said, It was reported that Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Az-Zubayr, Ulqamah, Sa'id bin Musayyib, Urwah bin Az-Zubayr, Mujahid, An-Nakai, Atta and Muqatil bin Hayyan said that being prevented, Husr, entails an enemy, an illness or a fracture. Ath-Thawri also said, being prevented entails everything that harms the person. It is reported in the 2 Sahihs that Aisha said that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, went to Dubaa bint Az-Zubayr bin Abdul Muttalib who said, O Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. I intend to perform Hajj but I am ill. He said, Perform Hajj, and make the condition, my place is where you prevent, or halt, me. Muslim recorded similarly from Ibn Abbas. So saying such a condition for Hajj is allowed is based on this hadith. Allah's statement, sacrifice a Hady such as you can afford, includes a sheep also, as Imam Malik reported that Ali bin Abu Talib used to say. Ibn Abbas said, the Hady includes 8 types of animals, camels, cows, goats and sheep. Abdur Razzaq reported that Ibn Abbas said about what Allah said, sacrifice a Hady such as you can afford, as much as one could afford. Al-Awfi said that Ibn Abbas said, if one can afford it, then camels, otherwise cows, or sheep. Hisham bin Urwah quoted his father, sacrifice a Hady, animal, that is, a sheep, a cow, or a camel, such as you can afford, depending on the price. The proof that sacrificing only a sheep is allowed in the case of being prevented from continuing the rites, is that Allah has required sacrificing whatever is available as a hadi, and the hadi is any type of cattle, be it camels, cows, or sheep. This is the opinion of Ibn Abbas, the cousin of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and the scholar of Tafsir. It is reported in the two Sahihs that Aisha, the mother of the believers, said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, once offered some sheep as hadi. Allah's statement, and do not shave your heads until the hadi reaches the place of sacrifice, is a continuation of his statement, and complete, the Hajj and Umrah for Allah, and is not dependent upon, but if you are prevented, then sacrifice a hadi, as Ibn Jarir has erroneously claimed. When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions were prevented from entering the sacred house during the Al-Hudaybiyah year by the polytheists from Quraysh, they shaved their heads and sacrificed their hadi outside the Haram, sacred, area. In normal circumstances, and when one can safely reach the house, he is not allowed to shave his head until, and do not shave your heads until the hadi reaches the place of sacrifice, and then he ends the rituals of Hajj or Umrah, or both if he had assumed Ihram for both. It is recorded in the two Sahihs that Hafsa said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. What is wrong with the people? They have finished their Ihram for Umrah, but you have not. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I matted my hair and I have garlanded my hadi, animals for sacrifice, so I will not finish my Ihram till I offer the sacrifice. Whoever shaved his head during Ihram will have to pay the Fidyah. Allah said, and whosoever of you is ill or has an ailment on his scalp, necessitating shaving, he must pay a Fidyah. Al-Bukhari reported, that Abdur Rahman bin Asbahani said, that he heard Abdullah bin Ma'akil saying, that he sat with Ka'b bin Ujrah in the mosque of Kufa, in Iraq. He then asked him about the Fidyah of the fasting. Ka'b said, this was revealed concerning my case especially, but it is also for you in general. I was carried to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and the lice were falling in great numbers on my face. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I never thought that your ailment, or struggle, had reached to such an extent as I see. Can you afford a sheep, for sacrifice? I replied in the negative. He then said, fast for 3 days or feed 6 poor persons, each with half a sa of food, 1 sa equals 3 kilograms approximately, and shave your head. So this is a general judgment derived from a specific case. Imam Ahmad recorded that Ka'b bin Ujrah said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came by while I was igniting the fire under a pot and while the lice were falling down my head or my eyelids. He said, do these lice in your head bother you? I said, yes. He said, shave it, then fast 3 days, or feed 6 poor people, or sacrifice an animal. Ayyub, one of the narrators of the Hadith, commented, I do not know which alternative was stated first. The wording of the Qur'an begins with the easiest, then the more difficult options, pay a fidyah of fasting, 3 days, feeding 6 poor persons, or sacrificing an animal. Meanwhile, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, advised Ka'b with the more rewarding option first, that is, sacrificing a sheep, then feeding 6 poor persons, then fasting 3 days. Each text is suitable in its place and context, all the thanks and praises are due to Allah. Tamattu during Hajj. Allah said, then if you are in safety and whosoever performs the Umrah, in the months of Hajj, before performing the Hajj, he must slaughter a hadi such as he can afford. That is, when you are able to complete the rites, so whoever among you connects his Umrah with Hajj having the same Ihram for both, or, first assuming Ihram for Umrah, and then assuming Ihram for Hajj when finished the Umrah. This is the more specific type of Tamattu which is well known among the discussion of the scholars, whereas in general there are 2 types of Tamattu, as the authentic Hadiths prove, since among the narrators are those who said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, performed Tamattu, and others who said, Qareen, but there is no difference between them over the hadi. So Allah said, then if you are in safety and whosoever performs the Umrah, in the months of Hajj, before performing the Hajj, that is, Hajj at-Tamattu and Al-Quran, he must slaughter a Hady such as he can afford, means let him sacrifice whatever Hady is available to him, the least of which is a sheep. One is also allowed to sacrifice a cow, because the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, slaughtered cows on behalf of his wives. Al-Awza'i reported that Abu Hurairah narrated that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, slaughtered cows on behalf of his wives when they were performing Tamattu. This was reported by Abu Bakr bin Marduwiyah. This last hadith proves that Tamattu is legislated. It is reported in the two Sahihs that Imran bin Husayn said, "We performed Hajj at Tamattu in the lifetime of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and then the Qur'an was revealed, regarding Hajj at Tamattu. Nothing was revealed to forbid it, nor did he, the Prophet, forbid it until he died. And somebody said what he wished, regarding Hajj at Tamattu, according to his own opinion." Al-Bukhari said that Imran was talking about Umar. It is reported in an authentic narration that Umar used to discourage the people from performing Tamattu. He used to say, "If we refer to Allah's book, we should complete it," meaning, whosoever performs the Umrah, in the months of Hajj, before performing the Hajj, he must slaughter a Hady such as he can afford. However, Umar did not say that Tamattu is unlawful. He only prevented them so that the people would increase their trips to the house for Hajj, during the months of Hajj, and Umrah, throughout the year, as he himself has stated. Whoever performs Tamattu should fast 10 days if he does not have a Hady. Allah said, but if he cannot afford it, he should fast 3 days during the Hajj and 7 days after his return to his home, making 10 days in all. This ayah means, those who do not find a Hady, let them fast 3 days during the Hajj season. Al-Awfi said that Ibn Abbas said, if one does not have a Hady, he should fast 3 days during Hajj, before Arafah day. If the day of Arafah was the 3rd day, then his fast is complete. He should also fast 7 days when he gets back home. Abu Ishaq reported from Wabarah from Ibn Umar, who said, one fasts 1 day before the day of Tarwiyah, the day of Tarwiyah, 8th day of Dhul Hijjah, and then Arafah day, the 9th day of the month of Dhul Hijjah. The same statement was reported by Ja'far bin Muhammad from his father from Ali. If one did not fast these 3 days or at least some of them before Eid day, the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah, he is allowed to fast during the Tashriq days, 11th, 12th, 13th day of Dhul Hijjah. Aisha and Ibn Umar said, fasting the days of Tashriq was only allowed for those who did not find the Hady, as Al-Bukhari has reported. Sufyan related that Ja'far bin Muhammad narrated that his father said that Ali said, whoever did not fast the 3 days during the Hajj, should fast them during the days of Tashriq. This is also the position taken by Ubayd bin Umayr al-Laythi, Ikrimah, al-Hasan al-Basri and Urwah bin az-Zubayr, referring to the general meaning of Allah's statement, fast 3 days during the Hajj. As for what Muslim reported that Qutaybah al-Hudali said that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the days of Tashriq are days of eating and drinking and remembering Allah the Exalted. This narration is general in meaning while what Aisha and Ibn Umar narrated is specific. Allah said, and 7 days after his return. There are 2 opinions regarding the meaning of this ayah. First, it means, when you return to the camping areas. The second, upon going back home. Abdur Razzaq reported that Salam narrated that he heard Ibn Umar saying, but if he cannot afford it, he should fast 3 days during the Hajj and 7 days after his return, means when he goes back to his family. The same opinion was reported from Sa'id bin Jubayr, Abu al-Aliyah, Mujahid, Ata, Ikrimah, al-Hasan, Qatada, Imam az-Zuhri and Rabi'a bin Anas. Al-Bukhari reported that Salim bin Abdullah narrated that Ibn Umar said, during the farewell Hajj of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, he performed Tamattu with Umrah and Hajj. He drove a Hady along with him from Dhul Hulayfa. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, started by assuming Ihram for Umrah, and then for Hajj. And the people, too, performed the Umrah and Hajj along with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. Some of them brought the Hady and drove it along with them, while the others did not. So, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, arrived at Makkah, he said to the people, "Whoever among you has driven the Hady, should not finish his Ihram till he completes his Hajj. And whoever among you has not driven the Hady with him, he should perform Tawaf of the Kaaba and between As-Safa and Al-Marwa. Then, he should shave or cut his hair short and finish his Ihram, and should later assume Ihram for Hajj, but he must offer a Hady, sacrifice. And if anyone cannot afford a Hady, he should fast for 3 days during the Hajj and 7 days when he returns home." He then mentioned the rest of the Hadith, which is reported in the 2 Sahihs. Allah said, making 10 days in all, to emphasize the ruling we mentioned above. This method is common in the Arabic language, for they would say, "I have seen with my eyes, heard with my ears and written with my hand," to emphasize such facts. Similarly, Allah said, "Nor a bird that flies with its 2 wings, Surah 6, Ayah 38, and nor did you write any book, whatsoever, with your right hand, Surah 29, Ayah 48, and we appointed for Musa 30 nights and added, to the period, 10 more, and he completed the term, appointed by his Lord, of 40 nights, Surah 7, Ayah 142. It was also said that the meaning of 10 days in all emphasizes the order to fast for 10 days, not less than that. The residents of Makkah do not perform Tamattu. Allah said, "This is for him whose family is not present at Al-Masjid Al-Haram, that is, non-resident of Makkah." This ayah concerns the residents of the area of the Haram, for they do not perform Tamattu. Abdur Razzaq reported that Tawus said, "Tamattu is for the people those whose families are not residing in the Haram area, Makkah, not for the residents of Makkah." Hence Allah's statement, "This is for him whose family is not present at Al-Masjid Al-Haram, that is, non-resident of Makkah." Abdur Razzaq then said, "I was also told that Ibn Abbas said similar to Tawus." Allah said, "And fear Allah, meaning, in what He has commanded you and what He prohibited for you." He then said, "And know that Allah is severe in punishment, for those who defy His command and commit what He has prohibited." The Hajj, pilgrimage, is, in the well-known lunar year, months, that is, the 10th month, the 11th month and the first 10 days of the 12th month of the Islamic calendar, that is, 2 months and 10 days. So whosoever intends to perform Hajj therein, by assuming Ihram, then he should not have sexual relations with his wife, nor commit sin, nor dispute unjustly during the Hajj. And whatever good you do, be sure, Allah knows it. And take a provision with you for the journey, but the best provision is at-taqwa, piety, righteousness. So fear me, O men of understanding. When does Ihram for Hajj start? Allah said, "The Hajj is, in the well-known months." This ayah indicates that Ihram for Hajj only occurs during the months of Hajj. This was reported from Ibn Abbas, Jabir, Atta, Tawus and Mujahid. The proof for this is Allah's statement that Hajj occurs during known, specific months, which indicates that Hajj is not allowed before that, just as the prayer has a fixed time, before which one's prayer is not accepted. Ash-Shafi'i recorded that Ibn Abbas said, "No person should assume Ihram for Hajj before the months of the Hajj, for Allah said, the Hajj is, in the well-known months." Ibn Khuzaymah reported that Ibn Abbas said, "No Ihram for Hajj should be assumed, except during the months of Hajj, for among the sunnah of Hajj is that one assume Ihram for it during the Hajj months." This is an authentic narration, and the companion's statement that such and such is among the sunnah is considered as a hadith of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, according to the majority of the scholars. This is especially the case when it is Ibn Abbas who issued this statement, as he is the Tarjuman, translator, interpreter, explainer, of the Qur'an. There is a hadith about this subject too. Ibn Mardawiyah related that Jabir narrated that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "No one should assume Ihram for Hajj, but during the months of Hajj." The chain of narrators for this hadith is reasonable. Ash-Shafi'i and Al-Bayhaqi recorded this hadith from Ibn Jurayj, who related that Abu az-Zubayr said that he heard Jabir bin Abdullah being asked, "Does one assume Ihram for Hajj before the months of the Hajj?" He said, "No." This narration is more reliable than the narration that we mentioned from the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. In short, this statement is the opinion of the companion, supported by Ibn Abbas' statement that it is a part of the Sunnah not to assume Ihram for Hajj before the months of the Hajj. Allah knows best. The months of Hajj. Allah said, the well-known months. Al-Bukhari said that Ibn Umar said that these are Shawwal, Dhul-Qa'dah and the first 10 days of Dhul-Hijjah. This narration, for which Al-Bukhari did not mention the chain of narrators, was collected by a continuous chain of narrators that Ibn Jarir rendered authentic, leading to Ibn Umar, who said, the Hajj, pilgrimage, is, in, the well-known, lunar year, months, which are Shawwal, Dhul-Qa'dah and the first 10 days of Dhul-Hijjah. Its chain is Sahih. Al-Hakim also recorded it in his Mustadrak, and he said, it meets the criteria of the two sheikhs. This statement is also reported from Umar, Ali, Ibn Masud, Abdullah bin az-Zubayr, Ibn Abbas, Ata, Tawus, Mujahid, Ibrahim an-Nakai, Imam ash-Sha'bi, Al-Hasan, Ibn Sirin, Makul, Qatada, Ad-Dahhak bin Muzahim, Ar-Rabi'a bin Anas and Muqatil bin Hayyan. This opinion was preferred by Ibn Jarir, who said, it is a common practice to call 2 months and a part of the third month as months. This is similar to the Arabs saying, I visited such and such person this year or this day. He only visited him during a part of the year and a part of the day. Allah said, but whosoever hastens to leave in 2 days, there is no sin on him. In this case, one will only be hastening for 1.5 days. Allah then said, so whosoever intends, farada, to perform Hajj therein, by assuming Ihram, meaning that one's assuming the Ihram requires a Hajj, for the person is required to complete the rituals of Hajj after assuming Ihram. Ibn Jarir said that Al-Awfi said, the scholars agree that, farada, intends mentioned in the Ayah means it is a requirement and an obligation. Ali bin Abu Talha said that Ibn Abbas said, so whosoever intends to perform Hajj therein, by assuming Ihram, refers to those who assume Ihram for Hajj and Umrah. Ata said, intends, means, assumes the Ihram. Similar statements were attributed to Ibrahim, Ad-Dahhak and others. Prohibition of Rafath, sexual intercourse, during Hajj. Allah said, he should not have Rafath. This ayah means that those who assume the Ihram for Hajj or Umrah are required to avoid the Rafath, meaning, sexual intercourse. Allah's statement here is similar to his statement, it is made lawful for you to have Rafath, sexual relations, with your wives on the night of the fast. Surah 2, Ayah 187. Whatever might lead to sexual intercourse, such as embracing, kissing and talking to women about similar subjects, is not allowed. Ibn Jarir reported that Nafi narrated that Abdullah bin Umar said, Rafath means sexual intercourse or mentioning this subject with the tongue, by either men or women. Ata bin Abu Rabah said that Rafath means sexual intercourse and foul speech. This is also the opinion of Amr bin Dinar. Ata also said that they used to even prevent talking, or hinting, about this subject. Tawus said that Rafath includes one saying, when I end the Ihram, I will have sex with you. This is also the same explanation offered by Abu al-Aliyah regarding Rafath. Ali bin Abu Talha said that Ibn Abbas said, Rafath means having sex with the wife, kissing, fondling and saying foul words to her, and similar acts. Ibn Abbas and Ibn Umar said that Rafath means to have sex with women. This is also the opinion of Sa'id bin Jubayr, Ikrimah, Mujahid, Ibrahim an-Nakai, Abu al-Aliyah who narrated it from Ata and Makul, Ata al-Khurasani, Ata bin Yasar, Adiyah, Ibrahim, Ar-Rabi'a, Az-Zuhri, As-Suddi, Malik bin Anas, Muqatil bin Hayyan, Abdul Karim bin Malik, Al-Hasan, Qatada and Ad-Dahhak and others. The prohibition of Fusuq during Hajj. Allah said, nor commit sin. Miqsam and several other scholars related that Ibn Abbas said, "It is disobedience." This is also the opinion of Atta, Mujahid, Tawus, Ikrimah, Sa'id bin Jubair, Muhammad bin Ka'b, Al-Hasan, Qatada, Ibrahim an-Nakai, Az-Zuhri, Rabi'a bin Anas, Atta bin Yasar, Atta al-Khurasani and Muqatil bin Hayyan. Ibn Wahab reported that Nafi narrated that Abdullah bin Umar said, "Fusuq or sin mentioned in the Ayah, Surah 2, Ayah 197, refers to committing what Allah has forbidden in the sacred area." Several others said that fusuq means cursing others. They based this on the authentic hadith, "Cursing the Muslim is fusuq, while fighting him is kufr." Abdur Rahman bin Zayd bin Aslam said fusuq here means slaughtering animals for the idols, as Allah said, or impious, fisk, meat, of an animal, which is slaughtered as a sacrifice for others than Allah. Surah 6, Ayah 145. Ad-Dahhak said that fusuq is insulting one another with bad nicknames. Those who said that the fusuq means all types of disobedience are correct. Allah has also prohibited committing injustice during the months of Hajj in specific, although injustice is prohibited throughout the year. This is why Allah said, "Of them 4 are sacred. That is the right religion, so wrong not yourselves therein." Surah 9, Ayah 36. Allah said about the sacred area, "And whoever inclines to evil actions therein or to do wrong, him we shall cause to taste from a painful torment." Surah 22, Ayah 25. It is recorded in the 2 Sahihs that Abu Hurairah narrated that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Whoever performed Hajj to this sacred house and did not commit Rafath or Fusuq, will return sinless, just as the day his mother gave birth to him." The prohibition of arguing during Hajj. Allah said, "Nor should there be jadal during Hajj," meaning, disputes and arguments. Ibn Jarir related that Abdullah bin Mas'ud said that what Allah said, "Nor dispute unjustly during the Hajj," means to argue with your companion, or fellow, until you make him angry. This is similar to the opinion that Miqsam and Ad-Dahhak related to Ibn Abbas. This is also the same meaning reported from Abu al-Aliyah, Atta, Mujahid, Sa'id bin Jubair, Ikrimah, Jabir bin Zayd, Atta al-Khurasani, Makul, As-Suddi, Muqatil bin Hayyan, Amr bin Dinar, Ad-Dahhak, Rabi'a bin Anas, Ibrahim an-Nakai, Atta bin Yasar, Al-Hasan, Qatada and Az-Zuhri. The encouragement for righteous deeds and to bring provisions for Hajj. Allah said, "And whatever good you do, Allah knows it." After Allah prohibited evil in deed and tongue, He encouraged righteous, good deeds, stating that He is knowledgeable of the good that they do, and He will reward them with the best awards on the day of resurrection. Allah said next, "And take provisions with you for the journey, but the best provision is at-taqwa, piety, righteousness." Al-Bukhari and Abu Dawood reported that Ibn Abbas said, "The people of Yemen used to go to Hajj without taking enough supplies with them. They used to say, 'We are those who have tawakkul, reliance on Allah.' Allah revealed this ayah, 'And take provisions with you for the journey, but the best provision is at-taqwa, piety, righteousness." Ibn Jarir and Ibn Mardawiyah narrated that Ibn Umar said, "When people assumed Ihram, they would throw away whatever provisions they had and would acquire other types of provisions. Allah revealed, 'And take provisions with you for the journey, but the best provision is at-taqwa, piety, righteousness.' Allah forbade them from this practice, and required them to take flour and sawiq, a type of food usually eaten with dates, with them. The provisions of the hereafter. Allah said, "But the best provision is at-taqwa, piety, righteousness." When Allah required mankind to supply themselves with what sustains them for the journeys of this life, He directed them to the necessary provisions for the hereafter, taqwa. Allah said in another ayah, "And as an adornment, and the raiment of taqwa, that is better." Surah 7, Ayah 26. Allah mentioned the material covering and then He mentioned the spiritual covering, which includes humbleness, obedience and taqwa. He also stated that the latter provision is better and more beneficial than the former. So fear me, O men of understanding. Meaning, fear my torment, punishment, and affliction for those who defy me and do not adhere to my commands, O people of reason and understanding. There is no sin on you if you seek the bounty of your Lord, during pilgrimage by trading. Then when you leave Arafat, remember Allah, by glorifying His praises, that is, prayers and invocations, at the Mash'ar al-Haram. And remember Him, by invoking Allah for all good, as He has guided you, and verily, you were, before, of those who were astray. Commercial transactions during Hajj. Al-Bukhari reported that Ibn Abbas said, Ukaz, Majannah and Dul Majaz were trading posts during the time of Jahiliyyah. During that era, they did not like the idea of conducting business transactions during the Hajj season. Later, this ayah was revealed, there is no sin on you if you seek the bounty of your Lord, during the Hajj season. Abu Dawood and others recorded that Ibn Abbas said, they used to avoid conducting business transactions during the Hajj season, saying that these are the days of dhikr. Allah revealed, there is no sin on you if you seek the bounty of your Lord, during pilgrimage by trading. This is also the explanation of Mujahid, Sa'id bin Jubayr, Ikrimah, Mansur bin al-Mu'tamir, Qatada, Ibrahim an-Nakai, Rabi'a bin Anas and others. Ibn Jarir reported that Abu Umaymah said that when Ibn Umar was asked about conducting trade during the Hajj, he recited the ayah, there is no sin on you if you seek the bounty of your Lord, during pilgrimage by trading. This hadith is related to Ibn Umar with a strong chain of narrators. This hadith is also related to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, as Ahmad reported that Abu Umamah at-Taimi said, I asked Ibn Umar, we buy and sell during the Hajj, so do we still have a valid Hajj? He said, do you not perform tawaf around the house, stand at Arafat, throw the pebbles and shave your heads? I said, yes. Ibn Umar said, a man came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and asked him about what you asked me, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not answer him until Jibreel came down with this ayah, there is no sin on you if you seek the bounty of your Lord, during pilgrimage by trading. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, summoned the man and said, you are pilgrims. Ibn Jarir narrated that Abu Salih said to Umar, O leader of the faithful, did you conduct trade transactions during the Hajj? He said, was there livelihood except during Hajj? Standing at Arafat. Allah said, then when you leave Arafat, remember Allah, by glorifying His praises, that is, prayers and invocations, at the Mash'ar al-Haram. Arafat is the place where one stands during the Hajj and it is a pillar of the rituals of Hajj. Imam Ahmad and the Sunan compilers recorded, that Abdur Rahman bin Yamar ad-Dili said, that he heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, Hajj is Arafat, thrice. Hence, those who have stood at Arafat before dawn will have performed the rituals of the Hajj. The days of Mina are 3, and there is no sin for those who move on after 2 days, or for those who stay. The time to stand on Arafat starts from noon on the day of Arafah until dawn the next day, which is the day of the sacrifice, the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, stood at Arafat during the farewell Hajj, after he had offered the Zuhr, noon, prayer, until sunset. He said, learn your rituals from me. In this hadith, that is, in the previous paragraph, he said, whoever stood at Arafat before dawn, will have performed the rituals of Hajj. Urwah bin Mudarris bin Haritha bin Lam at-Ta'i said, I came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, at Al-Muzdalifah when it was time to pray. I said, O Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. I came from the 2 mountains of Ta'i, and my animal became tired and I became tired. I have not left any mountain, but stood on it. Do I have a valid Hajj? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever performed this prayer with us, stood with us until we moved forth, and had stood at Arafat before that, day or night, will have performed the Hajj and completed its rituals. This hadith was collected by Imam Ahmad and the compilers of the Sunan, and at-Tirmidhi graded it Sahih. It was reported that the mount was called Arafat because, as Abdur Razzaq reported that Ali bin Abu Talib said, Allah sent Jibreel to Prophet Ibrahim and he performed Hajj for him, to teach him its rituals. When Ibrahim reached Arafat he said, I have Araftu, I know this place. He had come to that area before. Thereafter, it was called Arafat. Ibn al-Mubarak said that Atta said, it was called Arafat because Jibreel used to teach Ibrahim the rituals of Hajj. Ibrahim would say, I have Araftu, I have Araftu. It was thereafter called Arafat. Similar statements were attributed to Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar and Abu Mijlaz. Allah knows best. Arafat is also called Al-Mash'ar Al-Haram, Al-Mash'ar Al-Aqsa and Alal, while the mount that is in the middle of Arafat is called Jabal ar-Rahmah, Mount of Mercy. The time to leave Arafat and Al-Muzdalifah. Ibn Abu Hatim reported that Ibn Abbas said, during the time of Jahiliyyah, the people used to stand at Arafat. When the sun would be on top of the mountains, just as the turban is on top of a man's head, they would move on. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, delayed moving from Arafat until sunset. Ibn Mardawiyah related this hadith and added, he then stood at Al-Muzdalifah and offered the Fajr, dawn, prayer at an early time. When the light of dawn broke, he moved on. This hadith has a Hasan chain of narrators. The long hadith that Jabir bin Abdullah narrated, which Muslim collected, stated, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, kept standing there, meaning at Arafat, until sunset, when the yellow light had somewhat gone and the disk of the sun had disappeared. Then, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, made Usama sit behind him, and in order to keep her under control, pulled the nose string of Al-Qaswa so hard, that its head touched the saddle. He gestured with his right hand and said, proceed calmly people, calmly. Whenever he happened to pass over an elevated tract of sand, he lightly loosened the nose string of his camel till she climbed up, and this is how they reached Al-Muzdalifah. There, he led the Maghrib, evening, and Isha, night, prayers with one adhan and two iqamah, which announces the imminent start of the acts of the prayer, and did not glorify Allah in between them, that is, he did not perform voluntary rak'ah. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, then laid down till dawn and offered the Fajr, dawn, prayer with adhan and iqamah, when the morning light was clear. He again mounted Al-Qaswa, and when he came to Al-Mash'ar Al-Haram, he faced towards Qibla, supplicated to Allah, glorifying him and saying, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and he continued standing until the daylight was very clear. He then went quickly before the sun rose. It is reported in the two Sahihs that Usama bin Zayd was asked, how was the Prophet's pace when he moved? He said, slow, unless he found space, then he would go a little faster. Al-Mash'ar Al-Haram. Abdur Razzaq reported that Ibn Umar said that all of Al-Muzdalifah is Al-Mash'ar Al-Haram. It was reported that Ibn Umar was asked about Allah's statement, remember Allah, by glorifying his praises, that is, prayers and invocations, at the Mash'ar Al-Haram. He said, it is the mount and the surrounding area. It was reported that Al-Mash'ar Al-Haram is what is between the two mounts, refer to the following hadith, as Ibn Abbas, Sa'id bin Jubayr, Ikrimah, Mujahid, As-Suddi, Rabi'a bin Anas, Al-Hasan and Qatada have stated. Imam Ahmad recorded that Jubayr bin Mut'im narrated that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, all of Arafat is a place of standing, and keep away from Urana. All of Al-Muzdalifah is a place for standing, and keep away from the bottom of Muhassir. All of the areas of Makkah are a place for sacrifice, and all of the days of Tashriq are days of sacrifice. Allah then said, and remember him, by invoking Allah for all good, as he has guided you. This ayah reminds Muslims of Allah's bounty on them that he has directed and taught them the rituals of Hajj according to the guidance of Prophet Ibrahim al-Khalil. This is why Allah said, and verily, you were, before, of those who were astray. It was said that this ayah refers to the condition before the guidance, or the Qur'an, or the Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, all of which are correct meanings. Then depart from the place whence all the people depart and ask Allah for His forgiveness. Truly, Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. The order to stand on Arafat and to depart from it. This ayah contains Allah's order to those who stand at Arafat to also move on to Al-Muzdalifah, so that they remember Allah at Al-Mash'ar Al-Haram. Allah commands the Muslim to stand with the rest of the pilgrims at Arafat, unlike Quraysh who, before Islam, used to remain in the sanctuary, near Al-Muzdalifah, saying that they are the people of Allah's town and the servants of His house. Al-Bukhari reported that Aisha said, Quraysh and their allies, who used to be called Al-Hums, used to stay in Al-Muzdalifah while the rest of the Arabs would stand at Arafat. When Islam came, Allah commanded His Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, to stand at Arafat and then proceed from there. Hence Allah's statement, from the place whence all the people depart. This was also said by Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Atta, Qatada and As-Suddi and others. Ibn Jarir chose this opinion and said that there is ijma', a consensus among the scholars, for it. Imam Ahmad reported that Jubayr bin Mut'im said, My camel was lost, and I went out in search of it on the day of Arafah, and I saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, standing in Arafat. I said to myself, By Allah, he is from the Hums. What has brought him here? This hadith is also reported in the Sahihain. Al-Bukhari reported that Ibn Abbas said that, depart, mentioned in the ayah refers to proceeding from Al-Muzdalifah to Mina to stone the pillars. Allah knows best. Asking Allah for His forgiveness. Allah said, and ask Allah for His forgiveness. Truly, Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Allah frequently orders remembrance of Him after acts of worship are finished. Muslim reported that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to ask Allah for His forgiveness thrice after the prayer is finished. It is reported in the two Sahihs that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, encouraged tasbih, saying Subhanallah, that is, glorified is Allah, tahmid, saying Alhamdulillah, that is, praise be to Allah, and takbir, saying Allahu Akbar, that is, Allah is the most great, 33 times each, after prayer. Ibn Mardawiyah collected the hadith that Al-Bukhari reported from Shaddad bin Aus, who stated that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, The master of supplication for forgiveness, is for the servant to say, O Allah! You are my Lord, there is no deity worthy of worship except you. You have created me and I am your servant. I am on your covenant, as much as I can be, and awaiting your promise. I seek refuge with you from the evil that I have committed. I admit your favor on me and admit my faults. So forgive me, for none except you forgives the sins. Whoever said these words at night and died that same night will enter paradise. Whoever said it during the day and died will enter paradise. Furthermore, it is reported in the two Sahihs that Abdullah bin Amr said that Abu Bakr said, O Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. Teach me an invocation so that I may invoke Allah with it in my prayer. He told me to say, what means, O Allah. I have done great injustice to myself, and none except you forgive sins, so please forgive me and be merciful to me, as you are the forgiver, the merciful. There are many other hadiths on this subject. So when you have accomplished your manasik, remember Allah as you remember your forefathers or with a far more remembrance. But of mankind there are some who say, Our Lord, give us your bounties in this world, and for such there will be no portion in the hereafter. And of them there are some who say, Our Lord, give us in this world that which is good and in the hereafter that which is good, and save us from the torment of the fire. For them there will be allotted a share for what they have earned. And Allah is swift at reckoning. The order for remembrance of Allah and seeking good in this life and the hereafter upon completing the rites of Hajj. Allah commands that He be remembered after the rituals are performed, as you remember your forefathers. Sa'id bin Jubayr said that Ibn Abbas said, during the time of Jahiliyyah, people used to stand during the Hajj season, and one of them would say, "My father used to feed the poor, help others, end their disputes, with his money, pay the diyyah, that is, blood money, and so forth." The only dhikr that they had was that they would remember the deeds of their fathers. Allah then revealed to Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, "Remember Allah as you remember your forefathers or with far more remembrance." Therefore, remembering Allah the Exalted and Ever High is always encouraged. We should mention that when Allah used, or, in the ayah, He meant to encourage the people to remember Him more than they remember their forefathers, not that the word entails a doubt, as to which is larger or bigger. This statement is similar to the ayat, as stones or even worse in hardness, Surah 2, Ayah 74, and fear men as they fear Allah or even more, Surah 4, Ayah 77, and we sent him to 100,000 people, or even more, Surah 37, Ayah 147, and was at a distance of 2 bows' length or, even, nearer. Surah 53, Ayah 9. Allah encourages calling Him in supplication after remembering Him, because this will make it more likely that the supplication will be accepted. Allah also criticizes those who only supplicate to Him about the affairs of this life, while ignoring the affairs of the hereafter. Allah said, "But of mankind there are some who say, Our Lord, give us your bounties in this world, and for such there will be no portion in the hereafter," meaning, they have no share in the hereafter. This criticism serves to discourage other people from imitating those mentioned. Sa'id bin Jubayr said that Ibn Abbas said, "Some Bedouins used to come to the standing area, Arafat, and supplicate saying, O Allah, make it a rainy year, a fertile year and a year of good childbearing." They would not mention any of the affairs of the hereafter. Thus, Allah revealed about them, "But of mankind there are some who say, Our Lord, give us your bounties in this world, and for such there will be no portion in the hereafter." The believers who came after them used to say, "Our Lord, give us in this world that which is good and in the hereafter that which is good, and save us from the torment of the fire." Next, Allah revealed, "For them there will be allotted a share for what they have earned. And Allah is swift at reckoning." Hence, Allah praised those who ask for the affairs of both this life and the hereafter. He said, "And of them there are some who say, Our Lord, give us in this world that which is good and in the hereafter that which is good, and save us from the torment of the fire." The supplication mentioned and praised in the ayah includes all good aspects of this life, and seeks refuge from all types of evil. The good of this life concerns every material request of well-being, spacious dwelling, pleasing mates, sufficient provision, beneficial knowledge, good profession or deeds, comfortable means of transportation and good praise, all of which the scholars of Tafsir have mentioned regarding this subject. All of these are but a part of the good that is sought in this life. As for the good of the hereafter, the best of this includes acquiring paradise, which also means acquiring safety from the greatest horror at the gathering place. It also refers to being questioned lightly and the other favors in the hereafter. As for acquiring safety from the fire, it includes being directed to what leads to this good end in this world, such as avoiding the prohibitions, sins of all kinds and doubtful matters. Al-Qasim bin Abdur-Rahman said, "Whoever is gifted with a grateful heart, a remembering tongue and a patient body, will have been endowed with a good deed in this life, a good deed in the hereafter and saved from the torment of the fire." This is why the Sunnah encourages reciting this dua, that is, in the ayah about gaining a good deed in this life and the hereafter. Al-Bukhari reported that Anas bin Malik narrated that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to say, "O Allah, our Lord, give us that which is good in this life, that which is good in the hereafter, and save us from the torment of the fire." Imam Ahmad reported that Anas said, "Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, visited a Muslim man who had become as weak as a sick small bird. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, 'Were you asking or supplicating to Allah about something?' He said, 'Yes. I used to say, O Allah, Whatever punishment you saved for me in the hereafter, give it to me in this life. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, all praise is due to Allah. You cannot bear it, or stand it. You should have said, Our Lord, give us in this world that which is good and in the hereafter that which is good, and save us from the torment of the fire. The man began reciting this dua and he was cured. Muslim also recorded it. Al-Hakim reported that Sa'id bin Jubayr said, a man came to Ibn Abbas and said, I worked for some people and settled for a part of my compensation in return for their taking me to perform Hajj with them. Is this acceptable? Ibn Abbas said, you are among those whom Allah described, for them there will be allotted a share for what they have earned. And Allah is swift at reckoning. Al-Hakim then commented, this hadith is authentic according to the criteria of the two sheikhs, Al-Baqarah and Muslim, although they did not record it. And remember Allah during the appointed days. But whosoever hastens to leave in 2 days, there is no sin on him, and whosoever stays on, there is no sin on him, if his aim is to do good and obey Allah, fear him, and know that you will surely be gathered unto him. Remembering Allah during the days of Tashriq, days of eating and drinking. Ibn Abbas said, the appointed days are the days of Tashriq, 11th, 12th, 13th of Dhul Hijjah, while the known days are the 1st, 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Ikrimah said that, and remember Allah during the appointed days, means reciting the takbir, Allahu Akbar, during the days of Tashriq after the compulsory prayers. Imam Ahmad reported, that Uqbah bin Amr said, that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the day of Arafah, 9th of Dhul Hijjah, the day of the sacrifice, 10th, and the days of the Tashriq, 11th, 12th, 13th, are our Eid, festival, for we, people of Islam. These are days of eating and drinking. Imam Ahmad reported that Nubayshah al-Hudali said that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the days of Tashriq are days of eating, drinking and dhikr, remembering, of Allah. Muslim also recorded this hadith. We also mentioned the hadith of Jubayr bin Mut'im, all of Arafat is a standing place and all of the days of Tashriq are days of sacrifice. We also mentioned the hadith by Abdur Rahman bin Yamar ad-Dili, the days of Mina, Tashriq, are 3. Those who hasten in 2 days then there is no sin in it, and those who delay, that is, remain in Mina for a 3rd day, then there is no sin in it. Ibn Jarir reported that Abu Hurairah narrated that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the days of Tashriq are days of eating and remembering Allah. Ibn Jarir reported that Abu Hurairah narrated that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent Abdullah bin Hudafa to Mina proclaiming, do not fast these days, that is, Tashriq days, for they are days of eating, drinking and remembering Allah the Exalted and Most Honored. The appointed days. Miqsam said that Ibn Abbas said that the appointed days are the days of Tashriq, 4 days, the day of the sacrifice, 10th of Dhul Hijjah, and 3 days after that. This opinion was also reported of Ibn Umar, Ibn az-Zubayr, Abu Musa, Atta, Mujahid, Ikrimah, Sa'id bin Jubayr, Abu Malik, Ibrahim an-Nakai, Yahya bin Abu Kathir, Al-Hasan, Qatada, As-Suddi, Az-Zuhri, Ar-Rabi'a bin Anas, Ad-Dahak, Muqatil bin Hayyan, Atta al-Khurasani, Malik bin Anas, and others. In addition, the apparent meaning of the following ayah supports this opinion, but whosoever hastens to leave in 2 days, there is no sin on him, and whosoever stays on, there is no sin on him. So the ayah hints to the 3 days after the day of sacrifice. Allah's statement, and remember Allah during the appointed days, directs remembering Allah upon slaughtering the animals, after the prayers, and by dhikr, supplication, in general. It also includes takbir and remembering Allah while throwing the pebbles every day during the Tashriq days. A hadith that Abu Dawood and several others collected states, tawaf around the house, sa'i between as-Safa and al-Marwa, and throwing the pebbles were legislated so that Allah is remembered in dhikr. When mentioning the first procession, refer to Ayah 199, and the second procession of the people upon the end of the Hajj season, when they start to return to their areas, after they had gathered during the rituals and at the standing places, Allah said, and obey Allah, fear Him, and know that you will surely be gathered unto Him. Similarly, Allah said, and it is He who has created you on the earth, and to Him you shall be gathered back. Surah 23, Ayah 79. And of mankind there is he whose speech may please you, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in this worldly life, and he calls Allah to witness as to that which is in his heart, yet he is the most quarrelsome of the opponents. And when he turns away from you, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, his effort in the land is to make mischief therein and to destroy the crops and the cattle, and Allah likes not mischief. And when it is said to him, fear Allah, he is led by arrogance to more crime. So enough for him is hell, and worst indeed is that place to rest. And of mankind is he who would sell himself, seeking the pleasure of Allah. And Allah is full of kindness to His slaves. The characteristics of the hypocrites. As-Suddi said that these ayat were revealed about Al-Aqnas bin Sharik al-Thaqafi, who came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and announced his Islam, although his heart concealed otherwise. Ibn Abbas narrated that these ayat were revealed about some of the hypocrites who criticized Khubayb and his companions who were killed during the Raji incident. Thereafter, Allah sent down His condemnation of the hypocrites and His praise for Khubayb and his companions, and of mankind is he who would sell himself, seeking the pleasure of Allah. It was also said that they refer to the hypocrites and the believers in general. This is the opinion of Qatada, Mujahid, Ar-Rabi'a bin Anas and several others, and it is correct. Ibn Jarir related that Al-Qurazi said that Nauf al-Bikali, who used to read previous divine book, said, I find the description of some members of this ummah in the previously revealed books of Allah. They, hypocrites, are people who use the religion to gain material benefit. Their tongues are sweeter than honey, but their hearts are more bitter than sabr, a bitter plant, aloe. They show the people the appearance of sheep while their hearts hide the viciousness of wolves. Allah said, they dare challenge me, but they are deceived by me. I swear by myself that I will send a fitnah, trial, calamity, on them that will make the wise man bewildered. I contemplated about these statements and found them in the Qur'an describing the hypocrites, and of mankind there is he whose speech may please you, O Muhammad, in this worldly life, and he calls Allah to witness as to that which is in his heart. This statement by Al-Qurazi is Hasan Sahih. Allah said, and he calls Allah to witness as to that which is in his heart. This ayah indicates that such people pretend to be Muslims, but defy Allah by the disbelief and hypocrisy that their hearts conceal. Similarly, Allah said, they may hide their crimes from men, but they cannot hide them from Allah. Surah 4, Ayah 108. This tafsir was reported from Ibn Abbas by Ibn Ishaq. It was also said that the ayah means that when such people announce their Islam, they swear by Allah that what is in their hearts is the same of what their tongues are pronouncing. This is also a correct meaning for the ayah that was chosen by Abdur Rahman bin Zayd bin Aslam. It is also the choice of Ibn Jarir who related it to Ibn Abbas and Mujahid. Allah knows best. Allah said, yet He is the most alud of the opponents. Surah 2, Ayah 204. The ayah used the word alud here, which literally means wicked, here it means quarrelsome. A variation of the word ludda was also used in another ayah, so that you, Muhammad, warn with it, the Qur'an, a ludda people. Surah 19, Ayah 97. Hence, a hypocrite lies, alters the truth when he quarrels, and does not care for the truth. Rather, he deviates from the truth, deceives and becomes most quarrelsome. It is reported in Sahih that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the signs of a hypocrite are three: whenever he speaks, he tells a lie. Whenever he promises, he always breaks it, his promise. If you have a dispute with him, he is most quarrelsome. Imam Bukhari reported that Aisha narrated that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The most hated person to Allah is he who is ulad and qasim, meaning most quarrelsome." Allah then said, "And when he turns away from you, O Muhammad, he struggles in the land to make mischief therein and to destroy the crops and the cattle, and Allah likes not mischief." This ayah indicates that such persons are deviant in the tongue, evil in the deeds, their words are fabricated, their belief is wicked and their works are immoral. The ayah used the Arabic word, sa, literally, tries, or intends. This word was also used to describe Pharaoh, then he turned his back, yasa, striving hard against Allah. Then he gathered his people, and cried aloud saying, "I am your Lord, Most High." So Allah seized him with a punishing example for his last and first transgression. Verily, in this is an instructive admonition for whosoever fears Allah. Surah 79, Ayat 22-26. Sa was also used in the ayah, "O you who believe, Muslims." When the call is proclaimed for the Salah, prayer, on the day of Friday, Jumu'ah prayer, us-o, come to the remembrance of Allah. Surah 62, Ayah 9. This ayah means, when the call to the Friday prayer is announced, intend and then proceed to attend the Friday prayer. We should mention that hastening to the mosque is condemned by the Sunnah, as this is another meaning for the word sa. When you come to attend the prayer, do not come in a sa'i, haste. Rather, come to it while walking at ease and in peace, or grace. The hypocrite has no motive in this life but to cause mischief and to destroy the crops and the offspring, including what the animals produce and what the people depend on for their livelihood. Mujahid said, "If the hypocrite strives for mischief in the land, Allah prevents the rain from falling and thus the crops and the offspring perish." The ayah continues, "And Allah likes not mischief." That is, Allah does not like those who possess these characteristics, or those who act like this. Rejecting advice is characteristic of the hypocrites. Allah said, "And when it is said to him, fear Allah, he is led by arrogance to more crime." This ayah indicates that when the hypocrite, who deviates in his speech and deeds, is advised and commanded to fear Allah, refrain from his evil deeds and adhere to the truth, he refuses and becomes angry and outraged, as he is used to doing evil. This ayah is similar to what Allah said, "And when our clear verses are recited to them, you will notice a denial on the faces of the disbelievers. They are nearly ready to attack with violence those who recite our verses to them. Say, shall I tell you of something worse than that? The fire of hell, which Allah has promised to those who disbelieved, and worst indeed is that destination." Surah 22, Ayah 72. This is why in this ayah, Allah said, "So enough for him is hell, and worst indeed is that place to rest," meaning, the fire is enough punishment for the hypocrite. The sincere believer prefers pleasing Allah. Allah said, "And of mankind is he who would sell himself, seeking the pleasure of Allah." After Allah described the evil characteristics of the hypocrites, He mentioned the good qualities of the believers. Allah said, "And of mankind is he who would sell himself, seeking the pleasure of Allah." Ibn Abbas, Anas, Sa'id bin Musayyib, Abu Uthman an-Nahdi, Ikrimah and several other scholars said that this ayah was revealed about Suhaib bin Sinan or Rumi. When Suhaib became a Muslim in Makkah and intended to migrate to Al-Madinah, the people, Quraysh, prevented him from migrating with his money. They said that if he forfeits his property, he is free to migrate. He abandoned his money and preferred to migrate, and Allah revealed this ayah about him. Umar bin Khattab and several other companions met Suhaib close to the outskirts of Al-Madinah at Al-Harra, flat lands with black stones. They said to him, "The trade has indeed been successful." He answered them, "You too, may Allah never allow your trade to fail. What is the matter?" Umar told him that Allah has revealed this ayah, Surah 2, Ayah 207, about him. It was also reported that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The trade has been successful, O Suhaib." The meaning of the ayah, Surah 2, Ayah 207, includes every mujahid in the way of Allah. Allah said in another ayah, "Verily, Allah has purchased of the believers their lives and their properties for the price, that theirs shall be the paradise. They fight in Allah's cause, so they kill others, and are killed. It is a promise in truth, which is binding on him in the Torah and the Injil and the Qur'an. And who is truer to his covenant than Allah? Then rejoice in the bargain which you have concluded. That is the supreme success." Surah 9, Ayah 111. When Hisham bin Amr penetrated the lines of the enemy, some people criticized him. Umar bin al-Khattab and Abu Hurairah refuted them and recited this ayah, "And of mankind is he who would sell himself, seeking the pleasure of Allah. And Allah is full of kindness to his servants. O you who believe! Enter perfectly in Islam, by obeying all the rules and regulations of the Islamic religion, and follow not the footsteps of Shaitan, Satan. Verily, he is to you a plain enemy. Then if you slide back after the clear signs, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and this Qur'an, and Islam, have come to you, then know that Allah is Almighty, All-Wise." Entering Islam in its entirety is obligated. Allah commands His servants who believe in Him and have faith in His Messenger to implement all of Islam's legislation and law, to adhere to all of its commandments, as much as they can, and to refrain from all of its prohibitions. Al-Awfi said that Ibn Abbas said, and also Mujahid, Tawus, Ad-Dahhak, Ikrimah, Qatada, As-Suddi and Ibn Zayd said that Allah's statement, "Enter Silm," means Islam. Allah's statement, "perfectly," means, in its entirety. This is the Tafsir of Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Abu al-Aliyah, Ikrimah, Ar-Rabi'a bin Anas, As-Suddi, Muqatil bin Hayyan, Qatada and Ad-Dahhak. Mujahid said that the ayah means, "Perform all the good works and the various pious deeds." This is especially addressed to those from among the people of the scripture who embraced the faith. Ibn Abu Hatim reported that Ibn Abbas said that, "O you who believe! Enter Silm perfectly," refers to the believers among the people of the scripture. This is because they believed in Allah. Some of them still followed some parts of the Torah and the previous revelations. So Allah said, "Enter Islam perfectly." Allah thus commanded them to embrace the legislation of the religion of Muhammad in its entirety and to avoid abandoning any part of it. They should no longer adhere to the Torah. Allah then said, "And follow not the footsteps of Shaitan," meaning, perform the acts of worship and avoid what Satan commands you to do. This is because he, Shaitan, commands you only what is evil and fahsha, sinful, and that you should say about Allah what you know not. Surah 2, Ayah 169, and he only invites his hizb, followers, that they may become the dwellers of the blazing fire. Surah 35, Ayah 6. Hence, Allah said, "Verily, he is to you an open enemy." Allah said, "Then if you slide back after the clear signs have come to you," meaning, if you deviate from the truth after clear proofs have been established against you, then know that Allah is Almighty, in His punishment, and no one can escape His vengeance or defeat Him. All-wise, in His decisions, actions and rulings. Hence Abu al-Aliyah, Qatada and Ar-Rabi'a bin Anas said, "He is mighty in His vengeance, wise in His decision." Do they then wait for anything other than that Allah should come to them in the shadows of the clouds and the angels? Then, the case would be already judged. And to Allah return all matters, for decision. Do not delay embracing the faith. Do they then wait for anything other than that Allah should come to them over the shadows of the clouds and the angels? On the day of resurrection, to judge the early and the latter creations. Allah shall then reward each according to his or her deeds, and whoever does good shall see it, and whoever does evil shall see it. This is why Allah said, then, the case would be already judged. And to Allah return all matters, for decision. Similarly, Allah said, "Nay. When the earth is ground to powder, and your Lord comes with the angels in rows, And hell will be brought near that day. On that day will man remember, but how will that remembrance, then, avail him? Surah 89, Ayat 21-23, and do they then wait for anything other than that the angels should come to them, or that your Lord, Allah, should come, or that some of the signs of your Lord should come, that is, portents of the hour, for example, rising of the sun from the west? Surah 6, Ayah 158. Abu Ja'far ar-Razi reported that Abu al-Aliyah narrated that, do they then wait for anything other than that Allah should come to them over the shadows of the clouds and the angels, means, the angels will descend on the shadows of clouds, while Allah comes as He wills. Some of the reciters read it, do they then wait for anything other than that Allah should come to them and also the angels over the shadows of the clouds? This is similar to Allah's other statement, and, remember, the day when the heaven shall be rent asunder with clouds, and the angels will be sent down, with a grand descending. Surah 25, Ayah 25. Ask the children of Israel how many clear ayat, proofs, evidence, verses, lessons, signs, revelations, etc., we gave them. And whoever changes Allah's favor after it had come to him, for example, renounces the religion of Allah, Islam, and accepts kufr, disbelief, then surely, Allah is severe in punishment. Beautified is the life of this world for those who disbelieve, and they mock at those who believe. But those who obey Allah's orders and keep away from what He has forbidden, will be above them on the day of resurrection. And Allah gives, of His bounty, blessings, favors, honors on the day of resurrection, to whom He wills without limit. The punishment for changing Allah's favor and mocking the believers. Allah mentioned that the children of Israel were witnesses to many clear signs, that attest to the truth of Moses regarding what he was sent with for them. They witnessed his hand, when it became lit with light, his parting the sea, his striking the rock, and water flowed from the rock, the clouds that shaded them during the intense heat, the manna and the quails, and so forth. These signs attested to the existence of the Creator and the truth of Moses by whose hand these signs appeared. Yet, so many among them changed Allah's favor, by preferring disbelief to faith and by ignoring Allah's favors, and whoever changes Allah's favor after it had come to him, then surely, Allah is severe in punishment. Similarly, Allah said about the disbelievers of Quraysh, have you not seen those who have changed the blessings of Allah into disbelief, and caused their people to dwell in the house of destruction, hell, in which they will burn, and what an evil place to settle in. Surah 14, Ayat 28-29. Then Allah states that He has made the life of this world beautiful for the disbelievers who are satisfied with it, who collect wealth, but refrain from spending it on what they have been commanded, which could earn them Allah's pleasure. Instead, they ridicule the believers who ignore this life and who spend whatever they earn on what pleases their Lord. The believers spend seeking Allah's face, and this is why they have gained the ultimate happiness and the best share on the day of the return. Therefore, they will be exalted above the disbelievers at the gathering place, when they are gathered, during the resurrection and in their final destination. The believers will reside in the highest grades in the utmost highs, while the disbelievers will reside in the lowest of lows, in the fire. This is why Allah said, and Allah gives to whom He wills without limit. This ayah indicates that Allah gives sustenance to whomever He wills of His servants without count or limit in this life and the hereafter. A hadith has stated, that Allah said, O son of Adam, spend, in Allah's cause, and I, Allah, will spend on you. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Bilal, spend, and do not fear deprivation from the owner of the throne. Allah said, and whatsoever you spend of anything, in Allah's cause, He will replace it. Surah 34, Ayah 39. In addition, it is reported in the Sahih, that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, every day 2 angels come down from heavens and one of them says, O Allah, compensate every person who spends in your cause, and the other, angel, says, O Allah, destroy every miser. Also in the Sahih, the son of Adam says, my money, my money. Yet, What is your money except that which you eat and use up, wear and tear, and spend in charity and thus keep, in your record? Other than that, it will go away and will be left for the people, the inheritors. In addition, Imam Ahmad reported that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The dunya, life of this world, is the residence of those who have no residence, the wealth of those who have no wealth, and it is harvested by those who have no sense of reason." Mankind were one community, and Allah sent prophets with glad tidings and warnings, and with them He sent down the scripture in truth to judge between people in matters wherein they differed. And only those to whom the scripture was given differed concerning it after clear proofs had come unto them through hatred, one to another. Then Allah by His leave guided those who believed to the truth of that wherein they differed. And Allah guides whom He wills to the straight path. Disputing, after the clear signs have come, indicates deviation. Ibn Jarir reported that Ibn Abbas said, "There were 10 generations between Adam and Nuh, all of them on the religion of truth. They later disputed, so Allah sent the prophets as warners and bringers of glad tidings." He then said that this is how Abdullah read the ayah, "The people were one ummah, and they then disputed." Al-Hakim recorded this in his Mustadrak and said, its chain of narrators is sahih, but they, Al-Bukhari and Muslim, did not record it. Abu Ja'far ar-Razi reported that Abu al-Aliyah said that Ubay ibn Ka'b read the ayah as, "The people were one ummah, and they then disputed, and Allah sent the prophets as warners and bringers of glad tidings." Abdur Razzaq said, that Ma'mar said, that Qatada said, that Allah's statement, "Mankind was one community," means, they all had the guidance. Then, they disputed, and Allah sent prophets. The first to be sent was Nuh. Abdur Razzaq reported that Abu Hurairah commented on, "Then Allah by His leave guided those who believed to the truth of that wherein they differed, saying that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, We are the last nation, but the first, foremost, on the day of resurrection. We are the first people to enter paradise, although they, Jews and Christians, have been given the book before us and we after them. Allah has guided us to the truth wherever they disputed over it. This is the day, Friday, that they disputed about, Allah guided us to it. So, the people follow us, as tomorrow is for the Jews and the day after is for the Christians." Ibn Wahab related that Abdur Rahman bin Zayd bin Aslam said that his father said about the ayah, "Then Allah, by His leave, guided those who believed to the truth of that wherein they differed, they disputed about the day of congregation, Friday. The Jews made it Saturday while the Christians chose Sunday. Allah guided the Ummah of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to Friday. They also disputed about the true Qibla. The Christians faced the east while the Jews faced Bayt al-Maqdis. Allah guided the Ummah of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to the true Qibla, Kaaba in Makkah. They also disputed about the prayer, as some of them bow down, but do not prostrate, while others prostrate, but do not bow down. Some of them pray while talking and some while walking. Allah guided the Ummah of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to the truth. They also disputed about the fast, some of them fast during a part of the day, while others fast from certain types of foods. Allah guided the Ummah of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to the truth. They also disputed about Ibrahim. The Jews said, he was a Jew, while the Christians considered him Christian. Allah has made him a Hanifan Musliman. Allah has guided the Ummah of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to the truth. They also disputed about Isa. The Jews rejected him and accused his mother of a grave sin, while the Christians made him a god and the Son of God. Allah made him by His word and a spirit from those He created, him. Allah guided the Ummah of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to the truth. Allah then said, by His leave, meaning, by His knowledge of them and by what He has directed and guided them to, according to Ibn Jarir. Also, and Allah guides whom He wills, means from among His creation. Allah said, to the straight way, meaning, He commands the decision and the clear proof. Al-Bukhari and Muslim reported that Aisha narrated that when Allah's Messenger used to wake up at night to pray, he would say, O Allah, the Lord of angels, Jibreel, Mikael and Israfil, creator of the heavens and earth and knower of the seen and the unseen. You judge between your servants regarding what they have disputed in, so guide me to what have been the subject of dispute of the truth by your leave. Indeed, you guide whom you will to the straight path. A dua reads, O Allah, show us the truth as truth, and bestow adherence to it on us. Show us the evil as evil, and make us stay away from it, and do not confuse us regarding the reality of evil so that we will not be led astray by it, and make us leaders for the believers. Or think you that you will enter paradise without such trials, as came to those who passed away before you? They were afflicted with severe poverty and ailments and were so shaken that even the Messenger and those who believed along with him said, When will come the help of Allah? Yes. Certainly, the help of Allah is near. Victory only comes after succeeding in the trials. Allah said, Or think you that you will enter paradise, before you are tested and tried just like the nations that came before you? This is why Allah said, Without such trials, as came to those who passed away before you. They were afflicted with severe poverty and ailments, meaning, illnesses, pain, disasters and hardships. Ibn Masud, Ibn Abbas, Abu al-Aliyah, Mujahid, Sa'id bin Jubair, Murrah al-Hamdani, al-Hasan, Qatada, ad-Dahhak, ar-Rabi'a, as-Suddi and Muqatil bin Hayyan said that, al-Ba'sa means poverty. Ibn Abbas said that, and ad-Darra means ailments. And were so shaken, for fear of the enemy, and were tested, and put to a tremendous trial. An authentic hadith narrated that Khabbab bin al-Arat said, We said, O Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. Why do you not invoke Allah to support us? Why do you not supplicate to Allah for us? He said, The saw would be placed on the middle of the head of one of those who were before you, believers, and he would be sawn until his feet, and he would be combed with iron combs between his skin and bones, yet that would not make him change his religion. He then said, By Allah, this matter, religion, will spread, or expand, by Allah, until the traveler leaves Sana'a to Hadramaut, both in Yemen, but at a great distance from each other, fearing only Allah and then the wolf for the sake of his sheep. You are just a hasty people. And Allah said, Alif, Lam, Mim. Do people think that they will be left alone because they say, We believe, and will not be tested? And we indeed tested those who were before them. And Allah will certainly make it known, the truth of those who are true, and will certainly make it known, the falsehood of those who are liars. Surah 29, Ayat 1-3. The companions experienced tremendous trials during the Battle of Al-Ahzab, the Confederates. Allah said, When they came upon you from above you and from below you, and when the eyes grew wild and the hearts reached to the throats, and you were harboring doubts about Allah. There, the believers were tried and shaken with a mighty shaking. And when the hypocrites and those in whose hearts is a disease of doubts, said, Allah and His Messenger promised us nothing but delusion. Surah 33, Ayat 10-12. When Heraclius asked Abu Sufyan, Did you fight him, Prophet Muhammad? He said, Yes. Heraclius said, What was the outcome of warfare between you? Abu Sufyan said, Sometimes we lose and sometimes he loses. He said, Such is the case with prophets, they are tested, but the final victory is theirs. Allah's statement, without such trials, as came to those who passed away before you, meaning their way of life. Similarly, Allah said, Then we destroyed men stronger, in power, than these, and the example of the ancients has passed away, before them, Surah 43, Ayah 8, and were so shaken that even the Messenger and those who believed along with him said, When will come the help of Allah? They pleaded to Allah for victory against their enemies and invoked Him for aid and deliverance from their hardships and trials. Allah said, Yes. Certainly, the help of Allah is near. Allah said, Verily, along with every hardship is relief. Verily, along with every hardship is relief. Surah 94, Ayat 5-6. So just as there is hardship, its equal of relief will soon arrive. This is why Allah said, Yes. Certainly, the help of Allah is near. They ask you, O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, what they should spend. Say, whatever you spend of good must be for parents, and kindred, and orphans, and al-Masakin, the poor, and the wayfarer, and whatever you do of good deeds, truly, Allah knows it well. Who deserves the nafaqah, spending or charity? Muqatil bin Hayyan said that this ayah was revealed about the voluntary charity. The ayah means, they ask you, O Muhammad, how they should spend, as Ibn Abbas and Mujahid have stated. So, Allah explained it for them, saying, Say, whatever you spend of good must be for parents, and kindred, and orphans, and al-Masakin and the wayfarer, meaning, spend it on these categories or areas. Similarly, a hadith states, that those who deserve one's generosity the most, are, your mother, father, sister, brother, the closest and then the farthest, relatives. Maymun bin Mihran once recited this ayah, Surah 2, Ayah 215, and commented, These are the areas of spending. Allah did not mention among them the drums, pipe, wooden pictures, or the curtains that cover the walls. Next, Allah said, And whatever you do of good deeds, truly, Allah knows it well, meaning, whatever you perform of good works, Allah knows them, and He will reward you for them in the best manner. No one will be dealt with unjustly, even the weight of an atom. Jihad, holy fighting in Allah's cause, is ordained for you, Muslims, though you dislike it, and it may be that you dislike a thing which is good for you and that you like a thing which is bad for you. Allah knows but you do not know. Jihad is made obligatory. In this ayah, Allah made it obligatory for the Muslims to fight in jihad against the evil of the enemy who transgress against Islam. Az-Zuhri said, Jihad is required from every person, whether he actually joins the fighting or remains behind. Whoever remains behind is required to give support, if support is warranted, to provide aid, if aid is needed, and to march forth, if he is commanded to do so. If he is not needed, then he remains behind. It is reported in the Sahih, whoever dies but neither fought, that is, in Allah's cause, nor sincerely considered fighting, will die a death of Jahiliyyah, pre-Islamic era of ignorance. On the day of Al-Fath, when he conquered Makkah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, There is no hijrah, migration from Makkah to Al-Madinah, after the victory, but only jihad in good intention. If you are required to march forth, then march forth. Allah's statement, though you dislike it, means, fighting is difficult and heavy on your hearts. Indeed, fighting is as the ayah describes it, as it includes being killed, wounded, striving against the enemies and enduring the hardship of travel. Allah then said, And it may be that you dislike a thing which is good for you, meaning, fighting is followed by victory, dominance over the enemy, taking over their lands, money and offspring. Allah continues, And that you like a thing which is bad for you. This ayah is general in meaning. Hence, one might covet something, yet in reality it is not good or beneficial for him, such as refraining from joining the jihad, for it might lead to the enemy taking over the land and the government. Then, Allah said, Allah knows, but you do not know, meaning, He has better knowledge than you of how things will turn out to be in the end, and of what benefits you in this earthly life and the hereafter. Hence, obey Him and adhere to His commands, so that you may acquire the true guidance. They ask you concerning fighting in the sacred months, that is, 1st, 7th, 11th and 12th months of the Islamic calendar. Say, fighting therein is a great transgression, but a greater transgression with Allah is to prevent mankind from following the way of Allah, to disbelieve in Him, to prevent access to Al-Masjid Al-Haram, at Makkah, and to drive out its inhabitants, and Al-Fitnah is worse than killing. And they will never cease fighting you until they turn you back from your religion, Islamic monotheism, if they can. And whosoever of you turns back from his religion and dies as a disbeliever, then his deeds will be lost in this life and in the hereafter, and they will be the dwellers of the fire. They will abide therein forever. Verily, those who have believed, and those who have emigrated, for Allah's religion, and have striven hard in the way of Allah, all these hope for Allah's mercy. And Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. The Nuqlah military maneuvers, and the ruling on fighting during the sacred months. Ibn Abu Hatim reported that Jundub bin Abdullah said, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, assembled a group of men under the command of Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah. When he was about to march, he started crying for the thought of missing Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Consequently, the Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, relieved Abu Ubaidah from command, appointed Abdullah bin Jahash instead, gave him some written instructions, and commanded him not to read the instructions until he reached such and such area. He also said to Abdullah, do not compel any of your men to continue marching with you thereafter. When Abdullah read the instructions, he recited Istirja, saying, truly, to Allah we belong and truly, to Him we shall return. Refer to Surah 2, Ayah 156, and said, I hear and obey Allah and His Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. He then told his companions the story and read the instructions to them, and 2 men went back while the rest remained. Soon after, they found Ibn Hadrami, one of the disbelievers of Quraysh, and killed him not knowing that that day was in Rajab or Jamadi, where Rajab is the sacred month. The polytheists said to the Muslims, you have committed murder in the sacred month. Allah then revealed, they ask you concerning fighting in the sacred months. Say, fighting therein is a great transgression. Abdul Malik bin Hisham, who compiled the Sirah, life story of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, related that Ziyad bin Abdullah Bakkai said, that Muhammad bin Ishaq bin Yasar al-Madani wrote in his book on the Sirah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent Abdullah bin Jahash bin Riyab al-Asadi in Rajab, after he, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, came back from the first battle of Badr. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent 8 people with him, all from among the Muhajirun and none from the Ansar. He also gave him some written instructions and ordered him not to read them until he marched for 2 days. Abdullah should then read the instructions and march to implement them, but should not force any of those who were with him to accompany him. The companions of Abdullah bin Jahash were all from the Muhajirun, from the tribe of Banu Abd Shams bin Abd Manaf. There was Abu Hudayfah bin Utbah bin Rabi'ah bin Abd Shams bin Abd Manaf. From their allies, there was Abdullah bin Jahash, who was the commander of the army unit, and Akasha bin Mihsan from the tribe of Banu Asad bin Khuzaymah. From the tribe of Banu Nawfal bin Abd Manaf, there was Utbah bin Ghazwan bin Jabir, one of their allies. From the tribe of Banu Zuhrah bin Kalab, there was Sa'd bin Abu Waqqas. From Banu Ka'b, there were their allies, Adi bin Amr bin Ar-Rabi'ah, not from the tribe of Ibn Wa'il, Waqid bin Abdullah bin Abd Manaf bin Arin bin Thalabah bin Yarbu from Banu Tamim, and Khalid bin Bukayr from the tribe of Banu Sa'd bin Layth. Suhail bin Baidah from Banu al-Harith bin Fihr was also among them. When Abdullah bin Jahash marched for 2 days, he opened and read the Prophet's instructions. When you read these instructions, march until you set camp at Nuqlah, between Makkah and At-Taif. There, watch the movements of the caravan of Quraysh, and collect news about them for us. When Abdullah bin Jahash read the document, he said, I hear and obey. He then said to his companions, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, has commanded me to march forth to Nuqlah to watch the movements of the caravan of Quraysh and to inform him about their news. He has prohibited me from forcing any of you to go with me. So, those who seek martyrdom, they should march with me. Those who dislike the idea of martyrdom, let them turn back. Surely, I will implement the command of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. He and his companions continued without any of them turning back. Abdullah entered the Hijaz area, western Arabia, until he reached an area called Buhran, close to Furua. There, Sa'd bin Abu Waqqas and Utbah bin Ghazwan lost the camel that they were riding in turns, and they went back to search for it while Abdullah bin Jahash and the rest of his companions continued until they reached Naqla. Then, a caravan belonging to the Quraysh passed by carrying raisins, food stuff and some trade items for the Quraysh. Amr bin Hadrami, whose name was Abdullah bin Abbad, was in the caravan, as well as Uthman bin Abdullah bin al-Mughirah and his brother Nawfal bin Abdullah from the tribe of Makhzum, and Al-Hakam bin Qaysan, a freed slave of Hisham bin al-Mughirah. When they saw the companions, they were frightened, but when they saw Ukasha bin Mihsan, their fears subsided, since his head was shaved. They said, "These people seek the Umrah, so there is no need to fear them." The companions conferred among themselves. That day was the last day in the sacred month of Rajab. They said to each other, "By Allah, if you let them pass, they will soon enter the sacred area and take refuge in it from you. If you kill them, you will kill them during the sacred month." They at first hesitated and did not like to attack them. They then began encouraging themselves and decided to kill whomever they could among the disbelievers and to confiscate whatever they had. Hence, Waqid bin Abdullah at-Tamimi shot an arrow at Amr bin al-Hadrami and killed him. Uthman bin Abdullah and Al-Hakam bin Qaysan gave themselves up, while Nawfal bin Abdullah was able to outrun them in flight. Later on, Abdullah bin Jahash and his companions went back to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in Al-Madinah with the caravan and the 2 prisoners. Ibn Ishaq went on, "I was told that some members of the family of Abdullah bin Jahash said that Abdullah said to his companions, 'Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, will have 1/5 of what we have confiscated.' This occurred before Allah required 1/5 for his messenger from the war booty. So, Abdullah designated 1/5 of the caravan for Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and divided the rest among his companions." Ibn Ishaq also stated that at first, when the Sariyah came back to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, he said to them, "I have not commanded you to conduct warfare during the sacred month." He left the caravan and the 2 prisoners alone and did not take any share of the war booty. When Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did that, the soldiers from the attack were concerned and felt that they were destroyed, and their Muslim brethren criticized them for what they did. The Quraysh said that Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions violated the sanctity of the sacred month and shed blood, confiscated property and took prisoners during it. Those who refuted them among the Muslims who remained in Makkah replied that the Muslims had done that during the month of Sha'ban, which is not a sacred month. Meanwhile, the Jews were pleased about what happened to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. They said, "Amr bin Hadrami was killed by Waqid bin Abdullah." Amr means the war has started, Hadrami means the war has come, as for Waqid bin Abdullah, the war has raged, using some of the literal meanings of these names to support their fortune-telling. But Allah made all that turn against them. The people continued talking about this matter. Then Allah revealed to his messenger, "They ask you concerning fighting in the sacred months. Say, fighting therein is a great transgression, but a greater transgression with Allah is to prevent mankind from following the way of Allah, to disbelieve in him, to prevent access to Al-Masjid Al-Haram, at Makkah, and to drive out its inhabitants, and Al-Fitnah is worse than killing." This ayah means, if you had killed during the sacred month, they, disbelievers of Quraysh, have hindered you from the path of Allah and disbelieved in it. They also prevented you from entering the sacred mosque, and expelled you from it, while you are its people. A greater transgression with Allah than killing whom you killed among them. Also, and al-fitnah is worse than killing, means, trying to force the Muslims to revert from their religion and re-embrace kufr after they had believed, is worse with Allah than killing. Allah said, "And they will never cease fighting you until they turn you back from your religion, Islamic monotheism, if they can. So, they will go on fighting you with unrelenting viciousness." Ibn Ishaq went on, when the Qur'an touched this subject and Allah brought relief to the Muslims instead of the sadness that had befallen them, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, took possession of the caravan and the 2 prisoners. The Quraysh offered to ransom the two prisoners, Uthman bin Abdullah and Hakam bin Qaisan. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "We will not accept your ransom until our two companions return safely," meaning Sa'd bin Abu Waqqas and Utbah bin Ghazwan, "for we fear for their safety with you. If you kill them, we will kill your people." Later on, Sa'd and Utbah returned safely and Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, accepted the Quraysh's ransom for their prisoners. As for Al-Hakam bin Qaisan, he became Muslim and his Islam strengthened. He remained with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, until he was martyred during the incident at Bir Maunah, when the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent 70 companions to Najd to teach them Islam, but Banu Sulaym killed them all except 2. As for Uthman bin Abdullah, he went back to Makkah and died there as a disbeliever. Ibn Ishaq went on, when Abdullah bin Jahash and his companions were relieved from their depressing thoughts after the Qur'an was revealed about this subject, they sought the reward of the fighters, in Allah's way. They said, "O Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. We wish that this incident be considered a battle for us, so that we gain the rewards of the Mujahideen." Then, Allah revealed, "Verily, those who have believed, and those who have emigrated, for Allah's religion, and have striven hard in the way of Allah, all these hope for Allah's mercy. And Allah is oft-forgiving, most merciful." Hence, Allah has greatly elevated their hopes of gaining what they had wished for. They ask you, "O Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, concerning alcoholic drink and gambling. Say, in them is a great sin, and some benefit for men, but the sin of them is greater than their benefit. And they ask you what they ought to spend. Say, that which is beyond your needs." Thus Allah makes clear to you His laws in order that you may give thought to this worldly life and in the hereafter. And they ask you concerning orphans. Say, the best thing is to work honestly in their property, and if you mix your affairs with theirs, then they are your brothers. And Allah knows him who means mischief, for example, to swallow their property, from him who means good, for example, to save their property. And if Allah had wished, He could have put you into difficulties. Truly, Allah is Almighty, All-Wise. The gradual prohibition of khamr, alcoholic drink. Imam Ahmad recorded that Abu Maysarah said that Umar once said, "O Allah, give us a clear ruling regarding al-khamr." Allah sent down the Ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah. They ask you, "O Muhammad, concerning alcoholic drink and gambling. Say, in them is a great sin." Umar was then summoned and the Ayah was recited to him. Yet, he still said, "O Allah, give us a clear ruling regarding al-khamr." Then, this Ayah that is in Surah An-Nisa was revealed, "O you who believe, approach not as-salah, the prayer, when you are in a drunken state." Surah 4, Ayah 43. Then, when the prayer was called for, a person used to herald on behalf of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, no drunk person should attend the prayer. Umar was summoned again and the Ayah was recited to him. Yet, he still said, "O Allah, give us a clear ruling regarding al-khamr." Then, the Ayah that is in Surah Al-Ma'idah was revealed. Umar was again summoned and the Ayah was recited to him. When he reached, "So, will you not then abstain?" Surah 5, Ayah 91, he said, we did abstain." This is also the narration that Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi and An-Nasa'i collected in their books. Ali bin al-Madani and At-Tirmidhi said that the chain of narrators for this hadith is sound and authentic. We will mention this hadith again along with what Imam Ahmad collected by Abu Hurairah, regarding Allah saying in Surah Al-Ma'idah, "Intoxicants and gambling, and al-ansab, and al-azlam are an abomination of Satan's handiwork. So avoid, strictly all, that, abomination, in order that you may be successful." Surah 5, Ayah 90. Allah said, "They ask you, O Muhammad, concerning alcoholic drinks and gambling. As for Al-Qamr, Umar bin Khattab, the leader of the faithful, used to say, it includes all what intoxicates the mind. We will also mention this statement in the explanation of Surah Al-Ma'idah, along with the topic of gambling. Allah said, say, in them is a great sin, and some benefits for men. As for the harm that the khamr and gambling cause, it affects the religion. As for their benefit, it is material, including benefit for the body, digesting the food, getting rid of the excrements, sharpening the mind, bringing about a joyous sensation and financially benefiting from their sale. Also, their benefit includes earnings through gambling that one uses to spend on his family and on himself. Yet, these benefits are outweighed by the clear harm that they cause, which affects the mind and the religion. This is why Allah said, but the sin of them is greater than their benefit. This ayah was the beginning of the process of prohibiting khamr, not explicitly, but it only implied this meaning. So when this ayah was recited to Umar, he still said, O Allah, give us a clear ruling regarding al-khamr. Soon after, Allah sent down a clear prohibition of khamr in Surah Al-Ma'idah, O you who believe. Intoxicants, all kinds of alcoholic drinks, and gambling, and al-ansab, and al-azlam are an abomination of shaitan's handiwork. So avoid, strictly all, that abomination, in order that you may be successful. Shaitan wants only to excite enmity and hatred between you with intoxicants, alcoholic drinks, and gambling, and hinder you from the remembrance of Allah and from as-salah, the prayer. So, will you not then abstain? Surah 5, Ayat 90-91. We will mention this subject, by the will of Allah, when we explain Surah Al-Ma'idah. Ibn Umar, Ash-Sha'abi, Mujahid, Qatada, Rabi'a bin Anas and Abdur Rahman bin Aslam stated that the first ayah revealed about khamr was, they ask you about khamr and gambling. Say, in them there is great sin. Surah 2, Ayah 219. Then, the ayah in Surah An-Nisa was revealed, on this subject, and then the ayah in Surah Al-Ma'idah which prohibited khamr. Spending whatever one could spare of his money on charity. Allah said, and they ask you what they ought to spend. Say, that which is, spare, beyond your needs. Al-Hakam said that Miqsam said that Ibn Abbas said that this ayah means, whatever you can spare above the needs of your family. This is also the opinion of Ibn Umar, Mujahid, Ata, Ikrimah, Sa'id bin Jubayr, Muhammad bin Ka'b, Al-Hasan, Qatada, Al-Qasim, Salam, Ata al-Khurasani and Rabi'a bin Anas. Ibn Jarir related that Abu Hurairah said that a man said, O Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him. I have a dinar, a currency. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, spend it you on yourself. He said, I have another dinar. He said, spend it on your wife. He said, I have another dinar. He said, spend it on your offspring. He said, I have another dinar. He said, you have better knowledge, meaning how and where to spend it in charity. Muslim also recorded this hadith in his Sahih. Muslim recorded that Jabir said that Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said to a man, start with yourself and grant it some charity. If anything remains, then spend it on your family. If anything remains, then spend it on your relatives. If anything remains, then spend it like this and like that is, on various charitable purposes. A hadith states, O son of Adam, if you spend whatever you can spare, it would be better for you, but if you keep it, it would be worse for you. You shall not be blamed for whatever is barely sufficient. Allah said, thus Allah makes clear to you His ayat in order that you may give thought. To this worldly life and in the hereafter, meaning, just as He stated and explained these commandments for you, He also explains the rest of His ayat regarding the commandments and His promises and warnings, so that you might give thought in this life and the hereafter. Ali bin Abu Talha said that Ibn Abbas commented, meaning about the imminent demise and the brevity of this life, and the imminent commencement of the hereafter and its continuity. Maintaining the orphan's property. Allah said, and they ask you concerning orphans. Say, the best thing is to work honestly in their property, and if you mix your affairs with theirs, then they are your brothers. And Allah knows him who means mischief, for example, to swallow their property, from him who means good, for example, to save their property. And if Allah had wished, He could have put you into difficulties. Ibn Jarir reported that Ibn Abbas said, when the Ayat, and come not near to the orphan's property, except to improve it, Surah 6, Ayah 152, and, verily, those who unjustly eat up the property of orphans, they eat up only fire into their bellies, and they will be burnt in the blazing fire. Surah 4, Ayah 10, were revealed, those who took care of some orphans, separated their food and drink from the orphans' food and drink. When some of the orphans' food and drink remained, they would keep it for them until they eat it or otherwise get spoiled. This situation was difficult for them, and they mentioned this subject to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. And they ask you concerning orphans. Say, the best thing is to work honestly in their property, and if you mix your affairs with theirs, then they are your brothers, hence, they joined their food and drink with the food and drink of the orphans. This hadith was also collected by Abu Dawood, An-Nasa'i, and Al-Hakim in his Mustadrak. Several others said similarly about the circumstances surrounding the revelation of the Ayah, Surah 2, Ayah 220, including Mujahid, Atta, Ash-Sha'bi, Ibn Abu Layla, Qatada, and others among the Salaf and those after them. Ibn Jarir reported that Aisha said, I dislike that an orphan's money be under my care, unless I mix my food with his food and my drink with his drink. Allah said, say, the best thing is to work honestly in their property, meaning, on the one hand, that is, this is required in any case. Allah then said, and if you mix your affairs with theirs, then they are your brothers, meaning, there is no harm if you mix your food and drink with their food and drink, since they are your brothers in the religion. This is why Allah said afterwards, and Allah knows, the one, who means mischief, for example, to swallow their property, from, the one, who means good, for example, to save their property, meaning, He knows those whose intent is to cause mischief or righteousness. He also said, and if Allah had wished, He could have put you into difficulties. Truly, Allah is Almighty, All-Wise, meaning, if Allah wills, He will make this matter difficult for you. But, He made it easy for you, and allowed you to mix your affairs with the orphans' affairs in a way that is better. Similarly, Allah said, and come not near to the orphan's property, except to improve it, Surah 6, Ayah 152. Allah has thus allowed spending from the orphan's estate by its executor, in reasonable proportions, on the condition that he has the intention to compensate the orphan later on, when he can afford it. We will mention about it in detail in Surah An-Nisa by Allah's will.